I bet you don't know this dress has a bra cup, right? Yes, it does. And you can see how it packed my boobs. Even as a mother of 3, you can see how lovely it looks. Hi guys, welcome back to another interesting tutorial. In this video, we're learning how to make this gorgeous dress. And if this is like what you're interested in, do well to hit on that subscribe button, because this is going to be as detailed as possible. And give me a thumbs up, and let's quickly dive into the main tutorial. So I'm going to draft with my pencil, and I will go ahead to highlight with my marker later on. So I will first of all mark out my shoulder line right here. So this is an off shoulder dress. I would have started off by as a normal off shoulder dress. I would have started off by minusing how off I want the shoulder to be, but because I want this tutorial to be well understood, I'm going to start by drafting a basic bodice pattern, and after that we'll transform it into an off shoulder pattern for a better understanding. All right, so I'm going ahead to mark from my shoulder to my bust point, my chest line, my under bust, and my half length. Note that the half length for the front is 17 inches. Okay, half length for the front is 17 inches. So I'm going ahead now to rule the lines across, as you can see me doing this way. So after that is done, I'm going ahead to label my chest line, bust point, under bust, and waistline. So from the center of the pattern, I marked out my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which mine is 4 inches. Please do well to make use of your own measurement, right? I'll come to the shoulder line, mark half of my shoulder measurement. For my neck width, I'm going to mark 3 inches, and I'll come down by 1 inch as my shoulder slope, and I'll connect it to the neckline, right? So after that, I'll also mark out my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on my chest line, and I'm going to connect it to my main shoulder this way. So I'm going to find the midpoint of what I have from the shoulder slope to the chest line, go in by 0.5 inches, and I will go ahead now to blend out my armhole, just as you can see. So after that is done, from the bust point, I will come down by 1 inch. I will come to the under bust. I will take 1 inch on both sides of the dart this way. I'm taking 1 inch on both sides like this, and I'm going to connect the waistline to the under bust into a straight line this way. That's the dart intake, connected it into a straight line, and I will go ahead to curve out this point like this. Okay, so from the 1 inch we came down by, curve it to the under bust, as you can see me doing this way. All right, after that is done, the next you're going to do is to mark my neck width. Even though I'm not going to be making use of it, I just decided to mark it out, okay, just for a better understanding, like I said earlier. So I'm going to go ahead now to mark all my body measurement. All right, then mark the waist measurement. I will replace this dart I took out here. Okay, so before we connect our measurement, I'll come to the shoulder this way. See the remaining measurement we have on the shoulder. You're going to mark the midpoint and connect it to the bust point like this. Can you see? After connecting it, you're going to determine how off you want your shoulder to be. So from my chest line, I'm going up by 1.5 inches. You can mark 1 inch, you can mark 2 inches, depending on how covered or how exposed you want your bust, your cleavage to be. So I went up by 1 inch from the chest point. So this part going towards the center front, I will take 0.75 inch for my dart intake, and the point going towards the armhole, I will use 0.25 inch, right? And I'm going to go up from the bust point again by 1 inch, just to avoid any form of pointiness around the bust point area. So I will go ahead now with the straightest part of my curve ruler, connect it this way. All right, connect this to the 1 inch we came up by from the bust point. So please, any dart you take out around the chest line, any dart that pass through the chest line, make sure you replace it. All right, make sure you replace it. I'm going to hint on that later on. So I'm going to use my curve ruler now to blend from this point now blend it to my armhole this way. Can you see? I'm going to blend that point this way. After that is done, from the center part of the pattern, I came down by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to also blend it this way. So that is all. So we are going to go ahead now to connect our body measurement just this way. All right, hope that is clear. So this part is going off. All this part I'm shading now, they are going off. So from the bust point, we're going to take our side dart. I'm just going to make use of just 1 inch for my side dart, and I'm going to connect it to the bust point this way. And after that, I will go ahead now to just highlight everything, and then we'll proceed to cut out. All right. As I was trying to trace out my side dart, this part of the pattern paper got torn. I have to use my paper tape to hold it down. All right, so I'm going ahead now to cut out. Just watch carefully how I am cutting out. So I'm not going to cut on the 1/2 inch I came down by right now. I will do that later. So I will cut everything out right now. You can see I did not cut directly on the side. I'm going to hold my bust dart, use my paper tape to cover it up. We notice a broken line on the under bust point. You are going to notice a broken line, so you're going to use your ruler to straighten up that part this way, and then I'll go ahead now to cut out the side of my pattern. All right, and this is what I have right now. Okay, so like I said earlier, any that you take out on this, can you see that tiny that I took out around the chest line? I forgot to replace it. I don't know if you can see it. So I forgot to replace that tiny that I took out around the chest line. So I'm going to measure it out, and it's about 1/2 inch. So guys, any dart that passes through your body measurement, make sure you replace it. Aside from the bust dart, any other dart that passes, make sure you replace it whenever you are drafting your pattern, so you don't have shortage. Okay, so I went ahead to cut out a fresh paper, and I'm going to mark out that 1/2 inch. I will blend it back to the side of the pattern paper just this way. So to avoid all of this, make sure you replace that 1/2 inch on your chest line. All right, just make sure you replace it on the chest line. It escaped my mind, and I had to do all of this. All right, so I'll go ahead now to cut it out, and we have replaced the dart. Okay, so that is all for the upper part. We're going to keep it aside and move on to the back. So I have marked out my zipper allowance, and I've also marked out my starting line. So I'm going ahead to mark out my chest line right now, and I will go ahead to connect it across. Make sure you extend it to the zipper allowance. So we're going to move on to mark out the back half length. So remember that I used 1 inch as my side dart, okay, which automatically means that the side have been reduced by 1 inch. Remember I mentioned that my front half length is 17 inches, and we have reduced it by 1 inch through the bust side dart. All right, so we are going to make the back 16. All right, because of the side that we removed, the 1 inch removed at the side dart, we are going to shorten the back half length also by 1 inch. Instead of marking 17 inches, which I used for the front, I'm going to use 16 inches. So I've gone ahead to mark out my back waistline. After that, I'll go ahead to mark all my basic measurement just like I did for the front. The only difference is going to be the neck depth, 1 inch, which we are not going to be needing, and the that intake for the back is just 1 inch. You're going to share that 1 inch between the two sides. All right, and that is what I have done here. So the next thing we're going to do now is to shade this part off, because it's not going to be needed. Okay, all these parts are not going to be needed. The back is starting from the chest line. Hope you understand. All right, so from the chest line for the back, I'm going to come down by 1 inch just to give the center back a curve. All right, it is totally optional. I'm going to connect it this way. All right, then connect it into the zipper with a straight ruler. Okay, so after that, I will go ahead now to cut this part off because we're no longer going to need it. All right, so I'll cut it out and then cut out the damp part and the side out. All right, so that is all for the back. So this is my zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm going to come to the zipper allowance now. To eliminate the zipper bulge, I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch, okay, just to eliminate zipper bulge, and I'm going to slant it this way, so I'll cut it off. After that is done, I'm going to fold my dart. All right, so we are going to first of all measure the front and the back. Can you see that they both align? Yes, that is the reason why we shortened the back half length by 1 inch. I just hope you understood everything right now. All right, so I'm going to fold my dart because I don't want to have a joining at the back. If you want to have a joining, you can go ahead to cut it out. So I'm going to fold mine, then use my paper tape to hold it in place. So that is basically all for the cutting of the front, upper bodies, and the down body. So we're going to move on to the down part, right? So for the down part, I'm going to use this front to also get the back measurement. As you can see, I have marked out my waistline and I'm going to minus my half length. Okay, so I'm going to minus my half length, place it on the waistline. So you're going to mark how long you want the dress to be, not the handkerchief part. Okay, so the length of the dress itself, not the handkerchief part. Okay, so I marked 40 inches for mine. I'm going to connect it across. After that is done, you're going to come to the waistline, divide your waist measurement by 4. Okay, let me just highlight it with my marker. That's the waistline. Okay, I'm going to divide my waist measurement by 4 and mark. So I'm not adding any dart to this stamp part. All right, so I'm going to measure from the waistline to my hip point, the widest part of the hip. I will also rule it across. So I'm going to also measure half of my my hip measurement divided by 4 on that hip point, and then I will go ahead to connect it this way. So after that is done, from the waistline I'm going to come down by 3 inches at the side and mark. Okay, I'm going to come to the hem of the dress, which is the down part of the dress. I'm going to come in by 3 inches at the hem of the dress. Okay, so I'm going to connect now from these 3 inches we came down by on the waistline. All right, also measure 3 inches on the hip area. Okay, the hip line. I'm going to connect from the 3 inches I came down by around the waistline to the 3 inches on the hip line, also down to the 3 inches on the hem of the dress. And I'm going to use my curve ruler to blend out this point so it doesn't look pointy, and then I'll go ahead now to cut it out. So that's all we need for the down part. Transferred all my pattern to my main fabric. So this is my center front. I have 1/2 inch on the upper part, the that area and the down part, and I cut out 2 pieces and I cut it on fold. Okay, so for the center side I have 1 inch at the side seam, and I have 1/2 inch all round. All right, and I have 4 pieces. Okay, so for the back piece I have my zipper allowance. We did not add any extra allowance. Then 1/2 inch on the down part, 1/2 inch on the upper part, and then the side is 1 inch, and I also have 4 pieces. So for the down part I have cut out the front and the back piece. Okay, so the back piece is longer because of the zipper allowance. So the down part I have 1 inch allowance, the cuff part I have 1/2 inch, the side I have 1 inch, and then the zipper allowance is the same as the upper part. Remember, we cut out 1/2 inch just to avoid zipper bulge on the upper part. So that when you align this upper part to the skirt part, you will notice that the back is longer by 1/2 inch. That's the back. Okay, so it's longer than 1/2 inch. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is to come down by 6 inches. All right, and then I'm going to indicate the difference of what I have from the upper part and the down part. I'm going to blend that point. I'm going to curve it to the 6 inches point that I marked earlier. So I'll be cutting that part out. That will help eliminate zipper bulge again. All right, it will help eliminate zipper bulge. It's going to give you that snatched look at the center back. All right, so I'm going ahead now to slit the main zipper allowance, and that is all for that. And remember, I mentioned that I added 1/2 inch on this part, and then 1 inch on the down part, and 1 inch on the side. All right, so we're going to go ahead now to start joining all our pieces together. So when you bring this upper part and the down part, now when you align them properly, you can see what is giving you. Everything is well aligned, and you can see how deep the back is looking. So that is all for that. We are going to go ahead now to start joining. So I have hasted all my pieces, as you can see, and I'm going to start joining by bringing out the main piece itself. I'm going to align one side of this side to the center front, and I will go ahead now to pin. So to make your work easier, please make use of your pin anytime you are working. All right, make use of your pin no matter how professional you are. So I have pinned mine, and I did the same thing for the lining piece. I will go ahead to stitch with 1/2 inch. So guys, let's go ahead to work on the collar of the dress. This part I am putting this arrow right now. I don't know if it's collar, I don't know what it's called, but I'm just going to call it collar. Okay, so I'm going to I brought back my pattern paper, and I'm going to use my sellotape to hold the center and the side together this way. Make sure you place them together this way. Don't overlap them, just bring them together and gum it. So this 1/2 inch I marked out earlier, I'm going to cut it away. So if you're cutting it away, also note that you're going to be cutting it on your main fabric, but I will be doing that later on. Okay, so from the center front, I will come down by 2 inches right here, and I'm going to blend it to the side. You can also mark 2 inches on the side. You can mark anything, any measurement you just want. If you want it to be bolder, if you want it to be smaller, just go ahead to blend. I think I marked 2 inches on both sides. All right, so I'll go ahead now to cut it out this way. Okay, so after cutting it out, I placed it on my fabric. My fabric is in a fold of 2, and it is on fold. I'm going to add 1/2 inch up and down, and also add sewing allowance on the side. Okay, so I'll go ahead to cut it out, and I will show you all. And this is what it looks like. Can you see? So I have cut it out right now. You can see how it's looking. It's going to give you somehow like a funny shape, but don't mind the shape. Just go ahead to hairstay it. I'll go ahead to hairstay it, and we will continue. All right, so guys, I've hairstay mine, and I'm going to go ahead to place them right side facing right side. You're going to sew the down part, so you can see that funny shape. You're going to straighten it up while sewing. So let me just give you an example of what I mean. I'm going to use my ruler now to straighten it up and show you what I mean. Okay, so after marking it with my ruler, I don't know if you can see it, see the way I straighten it up. So I'm going to go ahead to sew it just to eliminate that funny shape. After I was done doing that, this is what I have. So I will go ahead now to sew it to my main bodice. All right, remember that the part that we turned is the down part, not the upper part. So the upper part now, I will go ahead now to cut out that 1/2 inch I cut out on this collar. That 1/2 inch, I will cut it out on my main fabric, also cut it out on the lining piece, and then we'll go ahead to start joining. All right, so between the two pieces, you're going to choose one, the one you want as the lining piece and the one you want as the main fabric. So both of them are the same, mind you. Okay, so I've chosen this one as my main fabric. I will go ahead now to fold it into 2, identify the midpoint, also repeat the same thing here. Then I'm going to place the notches together this way. I will start pinning, so pin from one side to the other side, and also repeat the same thing. So as you can see, I am using my hand to straighten the bust point. Yeah, so I'm using my hand to straighten it. Okay, because that point is not straight. All right, our bust is not straight, it's curvy. So I'm using my hand to straighten, and I'm pinning both upper part and the down part. As you can see, after pinning it, you will go ahead to stitch the both together just to become one piece. And I have done that right here, and you can see what I have. So I'm going to now sew the back side to the back and the front together. Yeah, so the back and the front, I'm going to sew them together now. As you can see, I'm going ahead to pin it. So after pinning it, I will go ahead to sew the both together. Also repeat the same thing right here, and I will sew with my sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to sew with my sewing allowance, and guys, as you can see, this tutorial is too long. I don't want to have issue with uploading the tutorial, so I'm going to do a second tutorial for the sewing part. On that one, I'm going to start by attaching the bra cup to this, and then we'll sew the other part. Okay, so guys, stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, and please make sure that you watch the second tutorial. Okay, bye for now.